judgments. Was at the sheriff's office in the Knoxville Police Department for 39 years.
Let me hear you louder, JJ. Really loud.
I was the sheriff from 2007 to 2018. In Knox County, after 2 terms, you have to take 1 term off for term limits before you can run again. So that's what I did. My mother was sick. It ended up really good. My mother got sick and had dementia, so I was able to stay with her, and she passed away last year. That's why I'm returning to run again. I want to talk a little bit more about some of the things that Tom said, but I also want to talk about, since we're at the Farragut Republican Club, I want to talk to you about what I have heard from people in Farragut when I knock on doors. The first thing I would say is, somebody said it earlier, we don't have a problem with defund the police. It doesn't happen here. We don't talk about that. Nobody, no county commission, no city council, no one has brought up defund the police. So that's not a reason that we can't keep people here. In East Tennessee, people love law enforcement. They love their law enforcement. When's the last time an officer was shot? When's the last time an officer was seriously hurt? When's the last time an officer shot someone? When's the last time we had a riot? When's the last time they burned buildings down? When's the last time they were throwing frozen bottles of water at the police? It doesn't happen here. Defunding the police is not an issue, and thank God it's not been an issue here. We treat our police great. Policing has not changed. We've been spit on, shot at, thrown at, beat up since I came in 1980. It's not changed one bit. So there's no reason whatsoever for anyone to ever leave an agency like the Knox County Sheriff's Office. It's a great place to work. So when I knock on doors, people say, well, we heard that over 500 employees have left the Knox County Sheriff's Office. That's almost 1/2 of the entire workforce at the Knox County Sheriff's Office has left in less than 4 years. 500 people. If you had a business, how could you survive? How could you survive with that many people leaving? And don't get me wrong when I say this, because I love McDonald's and Burger King, and you can tell by looking at me that I go there a lot. But these are not McDonald's and Burger King jobs. These people have to be trained. Even in corrections, the training they go through is tremendous. Patrol officers go through the academy. It's not a job that you just hire somebody and then next week they pick up and leave. You can't do that. It's like the sheriff said, there's over 150 vacancies. When I was sheriff, we never had vacancies, ever. The only vacancies we ever had is there's a thing called contra in county government. And what that means is you start out with a negative balance of whatever the number is that the mayor and the chief financial officer decide. So we may start off with a contra of $500,000. So we wouldn't be able to fill positions until we made that $500,000 up. And once we made that $500,000 then, we could fill these positions. Except for contra, we never, ever had an empty position at the Knox County Sheriff's Office. When someone left, there was someone ready to fill the shoes. Always. We never had an issue with that. And there's no excuse for it. There's no excuse to have 150 vacancies. Out of the 500, over 500, and my numbers are good through December 31st of 2021. So since then, all I can tell you is we've lost another 40 from January to February. So we talk about, and we talk about he took them off the 12-hour shift. He did take them off the 12-hour shift. And they didn't like the 12-hour shift. And if someone had come to me and told me that that's not what they wanted to work, I would have been fine with that. But I never got any input in that whatsoever. But now what we have, instead of working 12-hour shifts, we have people in the jail that are working 16-hour shifts. They work 8 hours, then they work overtime for 8 hours. Now they are getting paid for that extra 8 hours, but they're still working 16 hours. They're away from their family, they're away from their children, they're going home and getting 4 or 5 hours sleep and coming back. Now what's the difference in working 12 hours or working 16 and getting paid for 8 but still working 16? It's happening on patrol, it's happening in the corrections, it's happening all over the sheriff's office. We don't have enough people the incident he talked about, the reason the officer got hurt. He was the only one. They didn't even get to him for 4 or 5 minutes. If it hadn't been the inmate and hadn't have jumped in and saved him, his life may have been lost. He was very, very, very lucky. And that's what's happening when you lose the numbers, of these officers. That's what's happening. You're creating problems. And you can't blame it on the officers. I mean, I would ask you, when's the last time you saw a police car drive through your neighborhood? It's not their fault that they're not. They can't answer the calls that they're out here working on. They can't answer the calls. They don't have enough time to go patrol through your neighborhood and see who's breaking in your house or what's going on in your neighborhood. But it's not their fault. Don't blame the officers. Okay? That was the first thing I heard about. The second thing I heard about was homeless. He brought it up. Let me tell you, homeless is a law enforcement issue. It is a law enforcement issue. When I was the sheriff, I had inmates with officers who went out and removed these temporary permanent dwellings. Now, how many of you know when you drive down the street that you know where one of those places are? When did that start? It's not started within the last 3 or 4 years to become so prevalent that they're everywhere now. They're everywhere. And how do you think Los Angeles and San Francisco got what they got? It didn't happen overnight. We can't there's places and services for these individuals, and it's not under the bridge on Level Road. It's not in behind Farragut High School. There's places downtown where services are provided. You can't let people take up a permanent residence. People can't even use the Greenway. They can't even go walking on the Greenway because they get accosted. Okay, if it's not a law enforcement, then send a service guy from the town of Farragut to go down there and move them out. See what happens. You'll be sending the ambulance after him to pick him up after they beat him up and send him on his way. It is a law enforcement function. Let me tell you it is. And you need to make sure that your law enforcement is acting on this homeless problem because it's getting more and more prevalent. It's getting more, it's diseases, it's drugs. It's one of the ones we removed had over 100 individuals in it. They sent the health department with us. They sent the health department with 30 what's the word? Hepatitis. 30 hepatitis tests. They gave each volunteer who would take the test $10. That's how they got them to take the test. Okay, out of 30 tests, 30 out of 30 tested positive for hepatitis. 30 out of 30. Okay? In these shopping areas, you see these homeless people, you see them all they're looking in your car, they're breaking in cars, they're committing petty crimes. And absolutely 90% of them are mentally ill, but they don't need to be living in the Greenway in Farragut. There's no help for them there. None whatsoever. And the third issue that I got was officers in schools. And when I was a sheriff, we had 35 officers in the schools, plus the supervisors. Supervisors are not assigned to school. Now, as of December 31st of 2021, they were down to 23 officers in schools. So they were down from 35 to 23. I have been told since then they've added one more. So instead of 12 officers down, there are 11 officers down from where they were when I left the sheriff's office. Some officers are having to guard 3 and 4 schools. I'm telling you, people, it's coming to a bad end. We see it all over the world, but we've been sheltered. We've been lucky. Once again, I would say, it's because of defunding the police. It's because our neighborhoods. It's because our parents are, one of the hardest things for me to ever say to mothers and daddies were, when you drop your kid off in the morning, I promise you they'll be safe. I promise you they'll be safe. Well, I got news for you. We're getting to the point where it's not going to be safe. And you better be paying attention if you're a grandmother or grandfather or mother or daddy, because this is what's happening. And it's because we're losing officers. The saying at the sheriff's office, the corrections, and I've been told this 2 or 3 times, and I just kind of just blew it off and didn't even think anything about it. But it is, the money's okay, we'll stay, but if you treat us like blank, then we'll quit. So it rhymes with quit. Okay? So, you know, and police officers are great people. Police officers are great people. They know what their job is. They work very hard. They certainly don't get paid. But we can stand around here and talk about pay all day long. There's one way and one way only that police officers' pay is going to be brought up to the level of the city police department or whoever they want to take a survey with. One way and one way only. And that's a property tax. And no one is for property tax. And especially right now, with inflation, the highest it's been in 40 years. Unemployment the way it is, gas prices. Who wants a property tax? But that's the only way we can shout and we can say, oh, we got 15%, no, we got 10% since I've been sheriff. That's not true. The sheriff doesn't decide who gets the pay raise. All you can do is ask. You can ask for 100%. It goes to the chief financial officer, which is Chris Caldwell of Knox County Government. And then he writes the budget out. Whatever comes back, that's what you're going to get. And it gets approved by the mayor. The only way you can get anything different is if Knox County Commission decides to override the budget that they see. The sheriff has absolutely no control over what pay raise you get. Zero. And he's been lucky enough, though, that he has a good mayor who's agreed to give these officers a lot more. I had Tim Burchett, the most conservative person that ever lived in the world. He wouldn't spend a nickel for a loaf of bread. So the difference is, whoever your mayor is the one that helps the police officers, not only just police officers, but all of county government. So he's correct. He's done good with raising, but it's because the mayor helped. I fought every tooth and nail, every way I could. Every way I could. And the bottom line is, you get what the mayor and the chief financial officer.
I live $13 an hour, make $35 an hour.
Yeah.
That's what I live for.
What?
Yeah.
She contradicted you.
Okay, anyway. No, I'm just saying, these are the issues that people in Farragut brought to me. So that's why I'm bringing to you, because this is the Farragut Republican Club. So if you have any questions or anything you want to ask, then I'm willing to answer anything that I can tell you that I can answer.
JJ, you say there's no defunding the police going on here. I have to tell you there is, because we know people that are trying to defund the sheriff's office, defund the Knox County.
But who has?
They are working to do it.
Who has?
It is Black Lives Matter and everybody else. So you need to stop saying that it's not happening here because they're trying to make it happen.
Have the city been
Also, you were sheriff. My house was robbed. Your officer treated my 76-year-old mother like she was a liar and that she was trying to commit fraud. Okay, and then did not call back until I got my county commissioner to get your detective to call us back. That's when you were sheriff. They treated my mother-in-law like crap. And then my husband was also treated like crap when he got home.
Well, here's what we're trying to do. Both of us are trying to do the same job. And I don't think anybody, we don't want to attack each other, okay? And I understand there's emotions. JJ's got his part, I have mine, and that's what this is about. It's so that you all will listen to each of us. And then it's up to you. It's up to you to make that decision. And yeah, as he said, it is a law enforcement issue with our homeless, but it's everybody else that's got to be involved with it. And he and I will continue to work that way.
Go ahead.
I'd like to ask a question of each of you. How would you specifically recruit to fill these vacant positions? To get get the numbers up across town?
What we have to do now, we're so far behind. And yeah, there are areas where they're defunding the police and they're running police officers off and police officers are leaving in droves. Those are the people that we need to be picking and choosing from. These are good officers who still have 10, 15, 20 years left. That's where we need to focus our recruiting. We need to focus on recruiting on officers who have left other areas because of just what we're talking about. Defunding the police, they don't back their police officers. Those are the places we have to look, and we have to look now. And we can, I mean, we're gonna have to, these officers have to come here, they have to go through the small amount of training they have to do, because they've already been police officers, and then they have to go to the street. We can't catch up now. We can't hire people in the corrections and let them work for a year and then put them through the academy. We'll never catch up that way. We have to hire police officers from other areas and bring them in here. Now, yes, do we hire anybody, just anybody that applies? Absolutely not. Administrators have to sit down and deal with those people and make sure that we pick the right people for this area.
We're continuing to recruit. We just hired 2 from KPD this past week. We just hired one from Minnesota. We just hired another one from Chicago. So we've got a few that are coming here because they like the climate, they like what is here. And obviously we advertise, obviously our HR is out working, going to our schools. I even went to our mayor council and asked them to drop the age to 18 for our corrections people, and they said, no, we'll do 19. Well, if a person is able to fight for this country at 18, then by gosh, they can be a correctional officer for Knox County.
I 100% disagree with that. 100%. You all know 18-year-olds. Y'all have 18-year-olds. Think about throwing them into jail with career criminals. They manipulate our 21-year-olds, much less our 18 and 19-year-olds. It's ludicrous to put 18 and 19-year-olds into
In Iraq, you can die in Iraq, but you can't here,
Yes.
keeping criminals
Yes.
In a
away
controlled
from us.
environment.
Right, not in a,
Okay,
not in a.
so I have a question
working-
now. As a 29-year veteran of law enforcement in this county, okay? I did 5 years in corrections. I did a total of 10 on patrol, 3 were patrol supervisor. And then you had someone ask me to go to major crimes for you and work homicide for nearly 11 years, which is what I did. And I solved every.
Wait, say it again.
I'm sorry, you were talking to him, you missed it, but everybody else caught it. I worked 11 years for you solving homicides, okay? Here's what I remember about raises, because it affected me getting to retire and spend the time with my brand new grandbaby, okay? Here's what I remember. One year, we got 4 extra vacation days as our bonus.
You got
And the
7.
Chiefs, no, that was later. The Chiefs all got a big bonus. The next year, stand by, sir. The next year, the captains and chiefs got a raise. Do you know who got the $3,000 raise under this administration? Captain and below. Not the big guys who are already making 6 digits, while I have lost time with my children that caused them problems in the long run. Because I was out here doing everything every single person in this room needed me to do. I was pulling over speeders, I was solving homicides, I was solving rapes, all of them. And my next question is, what do you think about the former sheriff's actions with the indictment under Chief Henderson?
We'll talk about the indictment.
Okay, good.
The indictment. The indictment on Chief Henderson was initiated by the Knox County Sheriff's Office. Imagine that.
It was
Over
the
2.5
FBI.
years ago.
The
over
FBI. And I worked
Over
homicide
2.5
cases
years.
with
Are
the
you gonna let me
feds.
talk or not?
It takes well over 2 years to
Okay.
get people
Over
indicted.
2.5
The 4 officers indicted under you, it took 4 years to get them indicted. 4. Check the facts on that one, Mr. Hornback. Okay, I'm
More
sorry,
questions?
Sheriff.
I-
I'm done. I'm sorry.
Well, you don't stay for the answer?
No, no.
I don't care about his answer.
Obviously.
You mentioned that we had recently
About Nick
lost
Phillips,
40
sure.
in January and February of this year. Wasn't the majority of those due to
I'm talking about
employees
corrections.
that retired?
No, I'm talking about corrections.
Okay, well, it didn't come out of corrections.
I'm sorry, that was just incorrect.
Because we had 40 retired.
I'm sorry, that was correction.
Okay, JJ, your time is up, but I would like to bring Sheriff Spangler up here, come on up here.
Oh, exactly.
And, direct your questions, direct your questions, to one or the other, and give them the opportunity to answer those questions and get your answers. So let's just, open 4 questions, and then we'll see, each one of them feels about it. Get the answers from them. So, and the law's here, remember? So, keep it down.
So I've heard you both express what you feel the issues are, and I've heard some blame a little bit on who you think caused the issues, but I've not heard a whole lot on what your thoughts are on how to correct the issues. So what are you gonna do to fix the problem? Both of you. I'd like to hear from both of you. What is your plan
About
for
the
how
things
you
that we
wanna?
talked about, the things we talked about?
Yeah.
We talked about recruiting, we're gonna have to recruit other police officers and bring them to this area. There's just no other
When you
way.
run the homeless, and they bring you stuff.
The homeless have all kinds of services downtown. That's where the downtown area is built for services for the homeless people. They have bus lines, they have medical attention, they have all kinds of counseling, all the things that are made for them are downtown. They're not out here on the low level. And I'm not being, by saying that, I'm not being non-compassionate. I promise you, I'm very compassionate for people who have mental illness and who can't help themselves. But they certainly can't help themselves on the Greenway in Turkey Creek. And they certainly can't help themselves under a bridge in Watt Road. It's not fair to them, and it's not fair to the citizens who pay taxes.
Okay, Tom, let's hear your
Well,
response.
keeping our people, I'm gonna tell you this. Somebody said, we don't wanna get into a bidding war. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in a bidding war. Every one of us that has a business, any of you that have a business, you're in a bidding war right now because they wanna know how much they're gonna pay or how much you're gonna pay them. I'm sorry, but that is one of the top issues within law enforcement right now. It's an issue right now because you got people that are working for Amazon and those companies that are gonna open, and that's what they're looking at. They're looking at that starting salary, and that's a part of it. But we gotta continue recruiting. It's been said, we gotta go after other officers. It's a bidding war, and what do we have to offer to them? We used to have a U-Op, which was a pension. That pension went away. So, we don't wanna lose everybody, so let's, there are people leaving, so people are done.
We're losing the crowd.
So, anyway.
Okay. Another question.
I don't have a question, I just have a comment. I am one of the biggest law enforcement advocates in the entire city of Knoxville. And I've held back and bully rallies for the last 2 years. And you say that there's not a defunded policing problem, that is an absolute lie. At the KPD headquarters back last year, I stood face to face with David Hayes, who caused issues at Knox County and just not too long ago. And I had my family threatened just because I am an advocate for law enforcement. I have no affiliation with them. Constance Every, I'm not for sure if you know who that is, but I can tell you who she is. She despises law enforcement. She wants to defund it. She has made it her mission so much to where she is running for governor to defund law enforcement.
Where maybe I misspoke and you didn't understand, I didn't say there wasn't protests about defunding police. I'm saying that no government entity, the Knox County Commission, the Knoxville City Council, none of them have done anything in any manner to anyone in law enforcement. Zero. Unlike Seattle, unlike Dallas, unlike Philadelphia, where their commissions, where their councils have stripped money away, taken money out of the budget, that hasn't happened here, and it won't happen here.
Now, JJ, I will correct you because Indy Kincannon tried to remove the school officers from the
Yes.
KPD from the school.
Yes.
Exactly.
Right. And because we actually put candidates in the race, she didn't. She had to because we pushed back against it.
Pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
We've had over 1,000 signatures, by the way, on that, so just to let you know.
We want to both want to thank you all. Thank you for coming out tonight.